I would like to know, when was the decision taken to realign the Northern Road? And who was the decision maker?
2015.
It was in 2015.
I think it was
Senator, I'm happy to answer that one. In terms of the decision around the realignment of the Northern Road, so obviously because the existing road runs across the airport site, it had to be realigned around the airport, and that work was being done as part of the Western Sydney Infrastructure Plan, which was being delivered. It was a joint project, as we've mentioned in the last hearing, between New South Wales and the federal government. Roads and Maritime Services for New South Wales were the delivery partner, so they were responsible for the design, the consultation with the community.
Sorry, I don't have a lot of time because we're going to end up closing this hearing. I want to know when the decision was reached and who the decision maker was. I don't want a whole heap of explanation about delivery partners, etc.
You're after the letter that went back to New South Wales agreeing to the revised alignment
I
and the
don't
date
know.
of that.
I don't know. You tell me.
But that's what the
we've
audit
got a decision that the Auditor General has criticised. I would like to know when the decision was taken and who made it to realign the Northern Road.
So the alignment for the Northern Road, the decision's a decision for Roads and Maritime Services.
So you're saying it was the New South Wales government?
They have the final decision on it.
Right. So your evidence is, I want to be really clear about this, it is the New South Wales government which is the decision maker in relation to the Northern Road alignment.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, Senator, that we're a very close partner with RMS.
Please, I'm sorry, but I'm going to come to that, and I don't want a lot of management talk about delivery partners. I want to know who's responsible.
And when?
And my next question is when.
So the Roads and Maritime Services put out an options report in July 2015. After consulting and taking submissions from the community, they then published their final preferred alignment, which was the eastern alignment, around the 9th of November 2015.
9/11/15 was the published. What was the name of the document?
That was the final document was called the Northern Road Stage 4 Options Identification Report.
And are you saying that's the decision?
So that was the part that I just need to explain in a little bit more detail, Senator, is that was about a corridor. And the corridor was in the order of about 250 plus metres wide. Following that, RMS then had to take that corridor and work through a specific alignment and design just for the road.
Sure.
So there was some room in that corridor to actually move. And they had already started the development of that alignment prior to that announcement on the 9th of November that was the alignment through around the airport and around Luddenham, and then that work on the specific alignment, and there were multiple options as they worked through and refined it, as you would expect, like any design process, resulted in a final alignment which was first presented by them to ourselves and other stakeholders around the end of 2015. And then that was...
So sometimes between the 9th of November 2015 and 31st of December.
Correct.
They present you with the route, which includes that particular decision.
They work up a specific alignment.
Yep, okay. So
and
you're saying...
And that becomes the one that they actually do the more... And that was the one specific to the Leppington Pastoral Company land.
Yes, okay.
The rest of the alignment was pretty straightforward.
Okay, I understand that. That's the only part I'm interested in. So the 9th of 11, they put out what you described as the Northern Road Stage 4 options paper, I think you called it, options document,
Options identification
which leaves
report.
a corridor within which various decisions more specifically can be made about where a road is, correct?
That's
and the
right,
design of the road, etc. You're saying the final alignment, which is the decision about where the Northern Road alignment is made some point after the 9th of November before the end of 2015, correct?
That's right. That's when they developed it for the first time. And then following that, they had to, because it was specific to the Leppington Pastoral Company's land, which is the largest piece of land along that route, They then had to work with Leppington Pastoral Company to make sure that they were, as the landowner affected, that alignment was going to work for them as well.
I'm still trying to understand decision-making as opposed to who then talks to whom, etc. At some point, someone in government has to make a decision. So is it your evidence that the decision on the Northern Road alignment, leaving aside every partner engagement, discussion, stakeholder, etc. process, that the decision in government is made by RMS sometime between the 9th of November and the 31st of December? Is that your evidence?
That's not the final decision. My evidence is that they arrived at a preferred corridor on the 9th of November. That was made
I know,
public.
and then after that...
And then they refined that into a specific alignment.
Yes.
And then that alignment gets developed with the landowner in consultation with the affected landowner over a period of about 6 to 7 months before it is settled. And then Roads and Maritime Services, who are also working with the department at that point in time because of the department's land is potentially involved.
Okay, please stop talking. I'm sorry. This goes to accountability. So I would like you, on notice, to provide us with a very clear explanation that doesn't involve a lot of discussion about who talks to whom, who works with whom. I am interested in who makes the decision, who is accountable to the public, and to which parliament are they accountable on where this road goes. I understand that there are a whole range of, I suppose, narrowing of options and a whole range of discussions with stakeholders, but I actually want to know where is the, as a matter of law and public administration, who makes the decision and when it is made. Okay, I think what your evidence says is between the 9th, which is the options, and the end of December, the final decision is made. Now, let's come back to your involvement. You, according to you, the department, according to the Department of Infrastructure, actually sought an adjustment. So, paragraph 2.19 of the report, which is at page 24. This department sought the adjustment because it minimised the impact of the road on the LPC's land base. Sorry, on the LPC's base farm. And then you ran the same argument that's in here, that is referenced in here, that increased, well, no. And according to the auditor, and this is very interesting, moving the route towards the airport reduced the amount of LPC land that needed to be acquired by New South Wales, but increased the amount that the Australian government had to acquire. Why did you do that? Why did we ask for that?
Senator, I think for this one, context around how we fund the road is important.
No. I don't want context.
We fund 80%
I know,
of the
you've
road,
given that
even though it's
evidence
delivered by New
before.
South Wales.
You've given evidence before, but I've asked a specific question. The Audit Office says
Yes.
that this department sought the adjustment. The effect of the adjustment, and they make other negative comments about it, but I'm not going to get into them. The effect of the adjustment is it increases how much Leppington land the Australian government purchases. Now, I want to know why you, department, sought the adjustment in 2015.
Senator, I'll start and then perhaps hand over to Mr Whalen. As I understand it, RMS's initial consultations with landowners indicated that there'd be significant challenges with putting the road through the alignment that they had consulted on, and they sought our guidance on other options. For us, moving the road from directly through the airport construction zone, which was where the Northern Road previously was a really important piece to ensure that we could build the airport on time. And at that stage, I think we went back to RMS and provided guidance on route alignments, but
Okay, who did that?
I'll ask Mr Whalen if he's got the detail on
Sorry, I
that.
couldn't hear that last.
At this stage, we went back to RMS and provided guidance on route alignment. I presume that is what the ANAO referred to. Who provided that guidance?
So to be perfectly clear, the request to change the alignment did not come from the Commonwealth. It came
Well,
from Roads and Maritime Services.
That's not what the audit office says.
I know it isn't, but that's what happened.
Well, you'd better provide some documentation because
So-
generally the audit office is
so-
pretty careful.
Roads and Maritime Services, as Mr Hallinan was saying, they are responsible for the consultation with landowners. They conducted those consultations with LPC, and the feedback from Roads and Maritime Services was that we could expect, we were likely to have lengthy delays in the acquisition process by Roads and Maritime Services for their land, and therefore a delay, significant delay to the completion of the Northern Road. And from our perspective, that was of concern because it would impact our ability to start the earthworks on the airport.
So where did you identify, where is all this laid out? Well, first, I'm noting your evidence is contrary to that of the Auditor General and the Audit Office. So we're going to have to resolve that, okay? Because I think the public are entitled to understand if you've got the auditor saying
Senator, I think
something and you're saying something contrary to that. But the second question I have is, given time, I would like you to set out what you've just said with the documents that you say support it. Your allegation now, or your assertion I should say, is that actually we didn't do it, it was RMS, and they took the decision to move the road. Is that your evidence?
They met with our department, and their advice back to us was that they were that the Leppington Pastoral Company was not going to accept the alignment as proposed through their land, and that we could expect significant delays with that acquisition process. To go back to the audit stuff, and to be fair to the auditors, what the auditors have relied upon is a letter from Roads and Maritime Services where it does actually say that the department directed
Correct.
Roads and Maritime Services, but I can advise that that wasn't the case.
Well, we want some documentation which demonstrate that.